Good evening.
Hey, Veronica, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well. And welcome everybody to another episode of Listening to Legends. Here, I am coming to you live from the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame, and Debbie is coming to you live from her
I'm
house.
home. Safe and sound. I'm home.
Safe and sound.
Yes. I am so excited about the show tonight.
I am too. And I would love to see our numbers jump up here. We have so far about 13 people in Facebook Live, and it's growing and growing.
Great.
So thank you everybody who's watching tonight. Go ahead and give us a few comments. Let us know that you're in the chat and that you're watching and that you are excited to see our special guest that we have tonight, which is Victoria Livengood.
Yes.
Victoria is go ahead.
Oh, I was simply going to say this is new to our program. Her genre of music is new to our program, and I'm very excited about that because as a kid, I always wanted to be an opera singer.
Oh, wow.
So that's one of my little secret passions that I've had during my lifetime.
Hey, that's so cool. Maybe after talking with Victoria tonight, you'll want to start a new career.
No, you don't want to hear me sing. No way. Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh, my goodness.
Well, Victoria Livengood is a 1999 inductee of the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. She was the very first class of inductees to be inducted.
Yes.
And since then, we have inducted 107 into our Hall of Fame. Wow.
I'm glad you said that number, Veronica, because just the other day, someone had asked me how many inductees did we have. So it is 107?
Yeah, 107. And like you said, we have two inductees that are in the opera or classical genre here at the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame, and that is Victoria Livengood and Anthony Dean Griffey. So tonight is a new genre for the show. And
it is. Yeah.
If anyone has any questions for Victoria, make sure that you put those in the comments section. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll have a chat there where you can chime in and add your questions. We have Timothy Kelly.
Whoa,
hey, Timothy. Hello, student of Dr. Amber James here. Okay, cool. Amber James, student of Victoria Livengood. Okay, awesome. Thanks for joining us.
That's great.
So if you guys have any comments or questions, make sure to chime in and add those in the comments section below, and we will try to get to as many as we possibly can tonight. Make sure you leave us a lot of likes and make sure to comment and subscribe. We're coming to you, like I said, live from the Hall of Fame's Facebook channel as well as the Hall of Fame's YouTube channel. We also have a way for you to donate to the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame. If you go down into the description box, you'll see a link there where you can donate. Or you can go to our website, which is northcarolinamusichall-of-fame.org. And you can click on the donate button and send a little something there. Every little bit does help.
Every little bit helps. And if you want to continue to see our shows, our past and present inductees, please donate. Anything helps. It really helps.
It certainly does.
Look forward to it. Yes. And make sure you come and visit us. That's a must. You'll be very happy with what you see.
Yeah. And speaking of visiting us here at the museum, where I'm located, we actually have Victoria's exhibit behind me. We pulled some of those items for you guys to see. So maybe Victoria will get a chance to kind of point some of these out and tell you a little bit more detail about what we have here.
I love the black with the hood.
It's beautiful. It's a
Isn't
beautiful
it beautiful?
velvet.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So those of you who have not visited, make sure that you visit our museum. You can make an appointment on our website to visit and see this full exhibit, as well as many, many others of those that we've inducted into our Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And so a little announcement for the Thanksgiving holiday, we are going to be closed starting tomorrow, Wednesday. We'll be closed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you guys can come in on Monday.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, Veronica, I can't wait. Like, I'm just so excited.
I know. I see this comment here from Scott Hester. What is Debbie's favorite opera to sing?
Scott, I might let you know that before the end of the show. But right now, you do not want to hear me sing that, because that would be the end of the show. Everybody's going to run for cover, okay?
Oh, boy. All right, so let's get to it. We have Victoria Livengood here with us tonight. I believe she is a mezzo-soprano opera singer.
Yes.
She'll tell us a little more about that. So everybody, please give a warm welcome to Victoria Livengood. Live and good.
Yes, live and good.
Yeah.
Yes, all you have to think, Veronica, is alive and good.
Yes,
That's
live and good. So how are you, Victoria?
I'm doing really well. I have to say, this is a new experience for me in the last 8 months. I don't think I've gotten this glammed up. So this is not my everyday around the Concord House look. So it took a village.
I'm sure.
Got it. Well, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to sit and talk with us and answer a few questions from maybe those that are viewing tonight. And just telling us a little bit about your history, how in the world you got started out of a little town called Thomasville to end up in such a successful place that you are right now.
Yes.
Well, I'll be honest, none of those kinds of things I don't think happen by accident. I mean, it really is, for me, it's divine intervention. It really is God's plan for my life. Otherwise, I can't imagine anything like that happening. A little girl from a cow farm. My dad was a battery manufacturer, and I grew up on a farm with my cousins and my family, and we never listened to an opera. I think the closest we got was probably a Bugs Bunny show or a pasta commercial. Gilligan's Island, this is what my brother and I knew about opera. So, however, I do come from a really musical family. So my mom and dad were not opera singers. They were in barbershop music. I don't mean they cut hair. I mean, they sang 4-part harmony a cappella.
Yes.
And you guys know about that. So my mom was a Sweet Adeline and my dad was a barbershop bass. And when I was in the womb, my mom's quartet was called the Southern Charms. And they were traveling all over singing for people. And I was kicking in the womb to 4-part harmony. So I came along and mom said I was singing from the time I made my debut. And my brother came along 2.5 years later and he was singing at birth as well. So my mom and dad taught us 4-part harmony. And we became the Livengood Family Quartet. So my background in music is really a cappella and quartet singing with my family. Then I became, a singer at my church. I think my first solo, I was 10 years old, and I sang at my church. I sang at my high school, of course, and had a pop trio and all the stuff that any young girl that wants to sing does. But opera, farthest thing from my mind. What did I want to be? I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
So you had no dreams of becoming a singer at that age?
No, I didn't know you could actually earn a living doing that.
Okay.
And, I'm not going to say that at the current moment, that's still not the state of things. However, it's been an incredible ride. So what happened is it came time to graduate and mom and dad said, you need to pick your college. And I picked Chapel Hill, UNC, not because of the music program, but because I wanted to go into pre-law and because I loved the basketball team and because I looked good in Carolina blue. So those seemed like good reasons to me. So mom and dad took me down to Chapel Hill for my first week. I had never had a voice lesson. And so my advisor, this is where I believe destiny comes into play. My advisor in freshman orientation week said, you're missing 1 credit. You need 1 more hour. And he said, is there anything else you like to do? And I saw the list and it was like tennis, no way. I didn't want to do sports. And then I saw Carolina choir. So I thought, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to audition because I can sing real good. Back then I talked like that. Now my drawl has become a little more elegant. So anyway, I go over to Hill Hall and I audition for the chorus master, Robert Porco. I go in there and I hear all this foreign language coming out of the studio. And I hadn't even thought about what I'm going to sing. So I thought, okay, I'll sing the theme from The Sound of Music. Oh. So I go into the audition room and this man is sitting there at the piano and he expected me to say I would sing a song by Brahms or by Schubert. But I said, I'm going to do the theme from The Sound of Music. And he looked at me like, uh-oh, what have we got here? So I sang the theme from The Sound of Music, and this man looked up at me, and then he said, I'm going to vocalize you. And I thought, what exactly is that? So he started to vocalize me, and he took my voice down low. And my dad being a bass, my mom being an alto, I guess I have very fat, short vocal cords. And so he heard a really extensive bottom range on my voice. Next thing I know, he says, come with me. We're going over to the music building. You're going to sing for the entire vocal staff. Wow. And I'm thinking, what is this for? Why are they doing that if I'm just auditioning to sing in the choir, you know? So I auditioned the theme from The Sound of Music again. Within an hour, I had a voice scholarship to be a voice performance major in the classical music department of UNC. So what do? It's 5 o'clock. Mom and dad are having dinner. You call home. I said, Daddy, it's Vicki Ann. I ain't going to be no lawyer. I'm going to be a singer. And the phone went FUD.
Oh, no.
You can imagine. I mean, they'd sung their whole lives. They didn't know what I was talking about. How did I expect to get an education and to earn a living doing singing for my occupation? Had I lost my mind? So that was the humble beginnings. And shortly thereafter, I had my first voice lesson with my first teacher, Joyce Peck. And within the first lesson, she showed me how to breathe the right way, diaphragmatically, and out came kind of a beast. And she started to cry, and I started to cry. So I learned my first opera aria. I came home for my parents to hear me for the first time. And I sat at the piano and played and sang the aria, and they were behind me. Thought I was crazy till they heard it. When they heard it, I looked around and they were both sobbing and Daddy was pulling out his checkbook.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a beautiful story.
Oh,
really, really lovely.
With you playing the piano, is that something that you learned at a younger age?
I did take piano lessons. So the things that they did have me doing that aided my career, I believe, were piano lessons for sure. And then I sang all the time. I just wasn't trained. And then I was a cheerleader. So I was loud and I was enthusiastic. I was born a drama queen. So the acting and the characters and the playing dress up, it all just comes naturally to me since I was a little
yes, right.
And well, the biggest challenge had to be the foreign languages with this accent.
Yeah,
languages without a Southern accent. So it's kind of like Gomer Pyle. You know, the accent goes away when you sing.
Right. So, yeah, I was going to ask you, I mean, you can tell it in my voice too. I'm from North Carolina. And how do you train yourself out of that?
Well, to be honest with you, Veronica, I don't. I tell my students now, be yourself And in my opinion, when I would go to a cattle call audition in New York City and they were looking for their Carmen, their leading lady, I would go into a room and there might be 100 mezzo-sopranos with red roses in their hair, castanets in their hand, ready to go in an audition. Everybody was good. I needed to stand out. So I would sing my aria, I would play my castanets, I would flick my rose, and then they would say, thank you, what else did you bring? And I'd say, well, thank y'all, it's so great to sing for y'all today. I also brought an aria from Samson and Delilah. And they're just like aghast, and that makes them talk to you, that makes them ask you questions. So then when they go home and they're deciding who to hire, hey, that's that tall girl from North Carolina with that accent. Let's give her a shot. I think it helped.
Great. And that really worked for you over the years.
It definitely worked. And yeah, thus the nickname of the Dixie Diva, which has stuck from the beginning until now.
Wow. Well, you sent us a ton of photos, and I kind of feel like tonight we're going to be looking through your personal family photo album. So if you don't mind, we'll just start with one of your earliest ones and kind of just flip through. And if you want to, chat about some of the ones that we're looking at, then just go for it.
Oh, sure thing.
So the first one we have is your baby picture.
Yes, well, that's already liking the jewelry I see, and Mama was already accessorizing my hair. So we'll call that diva in training.
Yes. Early diva.
Obviously, my first piano, and my precious daddy who loved music with all of his heart and soul. And to be honest, my dad had the opportunity to be a soloist, and he even was offered some big contracts with like recording labels and stuff. He was a rare voice type, a really low basso profundo, a bass. And he gave it all up because he wanted to have a family, wanted to have me, basically. And so we came full circle. So one time when he was taking me to the airport, and putting me on a plane for the millionth time, he said, you're living out my dream. And he passed 3 years ago. So it makes me very happy that I'm doing what he wanted to do with his life.
Right. Wow.
And we know that you definitely made him very proud. So
here she's obviously getting into the bling stage. See, my friends all make fun of me and they go, Vicki, if we stand still long enough, you'll bedazzle us. There you have it. That's my dance recital. So I forgot to mention that no voice lessons, but I did take dance lessons in Winston-Salem, the big city near Thomasville, at Venie Frederick's studio. And Venie Fredericks was a former rockette at Radio City.
Oh, wow.
And she was my mom's dance teacher, and she was also my dance teacher. So I took from the time I was 4 until I graduated high school. So really, I had far more dance training than vocal training at the time that I went into opera.
Wow.
Okay, there's Mama, believe it or not. And we are doing that song called I Can Do Anything You Can Do Better. And we did that song for the Pilot School Talent Show, and we won. This would be, I'm going to say this would be in the late 60s, if I had to guess, early 70s probably. Okay, that's graduating high school.
Oh.
Yeah, that's senior picture. Oh, and then this, Thomasville, I have to give Thomasville real props because little tiny town known for big chairs. And, they gave me not only opportunities like this to sing with my dad. This was at the Finch Auditorium in one of the fundraiser concerts we would do every year for the Thomasville Hospital Guild. But those people were the most supportive and remain the most supportive hometown crowd you could ask for. They get on planes. They would charter an entire airplane and fly to New York when I made my debut as Carmen at the Metropolitan Opera. I think 250 Tar Heels were in the audience. Mom had to train them not to yell "Go Heels," but to say "Brava." And when I came out on this stage for my first entrance and that grand tier balcony erupted with cheers, I will never forget that moment until I die.
Wow.
I'm very grateful.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Oh.
So this is a concert while I'm still at Chapel Hill. This was me singing a program called Motion 80 over in High Point, again, a charity event. And so I guess I'm about 22, 23 here. And I was singing Broadway stuff. I was singing a song here from Pippin. Man, you're taking me way back. Okay, that's the big moment because my parents, I told you they wrote the checks. Mm-hmm. However, they really didn't know once I graduated Chapel Hill what was going to happen. And to be brief about the route that I took, again, I think God stepped in with my plan and opened the window and I saw it and I went through it. A man came to Chapel Hill to do a master class. His name was John Moriarty. He's a very famous opera director. He ran a summer program in Central City, Colorado. He wrote a famous diction book on English diction. John Moriarty came and heard 22-year-old Vicky at Chapel Hill. He drew my name out of a hat of 100 singers. So there you have it. Here's my name. He probably said Livengood. He knows now what it is, but he probably said Livengood. So anyway, John Moriarty worked with me that day, and by the end of that class, offered me a scholarship to the Boston New England Conservatory to get my master's degree in opera performance. So Chapel Hill was voice performance. Boston was opera performance.
Okay.
So then when I went there, which I'd never even gotten on a plane at that point, I went there in the 1983 to 85. And while there, the instruction I got, the acting classes, the diction classes, and how to become an opera singer, how to audition, how to succeed. So anyway, I'm getting ready to graduate again 2 years later, all that money. And Dad's like, how are you going to earn a living? So Moriarty suggested I enter the Metropolitan Opera competition. It's called the National Council Competition. And I entered it, first time I ever entered it. I had no concept in this world of doing anything except singing well and having a good time. And I won in Boston, and then I won in New York. And so I was one of the winners in 1985. You're in New York City with the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra on the Metropolitan Opera stage. And you get agents handing you their cards and telling you to call them. And that started it all. Cute story about the photo you just showed. It's one of my favorite stories about the jewelry. All right, so this is 1985, and I'm in Boston. So I call my parents. See, they didn't come to the auditions in Boston because I said, I can't win. Don't fly up here. There's no way. So then I went, and they're mad at me. So Dad gives me his credit card and says, go buy the dress. So I go, do you guys remember a store called Bonwit Teller?
Yes, absolutely. I do. Yes.
Glamorous, Debbie, right? Glamorous.
Yes, it really is. Beautiful dresses and the jewelry and the shoes.
Everything, a one-stop shop, right?
Yes.
So I'm in heaven. I go. And back then, this was the days of Dynasty. So the gowns were sequins head to toe.
Yes. Yes.
So I buy this cobalt blue head to toe sequin gown. Send a picture. Mom and Dad approve. So then Dad goes, you need some jewelry. Well, Southern story again. I go over to Madison Avenue, Fifth Avenue, looking at all the things. So I've got on jeans and probably a Tar Heel t-shirt and a baseball hat. And I weigh maybe 120 pounds wet. And I go into this jewelry store and I see that necklace and earrings that you see me wearing. So the man says to me, the guy that owns the store or works there, he says, excuse me, ma'am, but can I help you? And I said, yes, I'm looking for a necklace and earrings to go with this dress. He said, honey, this is not the store for you. You need to go on over to Broadway. And I said, well, are you telling me that necklace ain't for sale? And he said, oh, it's for sale, but you can't afford it. So I said, I know I can't afford it, but my daddy sure can. So this man says to me, he says, okay, little girl, if you can sing my favorite aria, I'll give you that necklace to wear. And I said a very fast prayer to God and said, don't let it be the Queen of the Night from Die Zauberflöte, because that's got, it's an octave and a half above where I can sing. That man asked for the habanera from Carmen. And when he did, I jumped up on that jewelry counter, clicked my hands, and sang the habanera. I walked out with that necklace and wore it on the stage at the Met.
Oh my goodness!
My favorite stories.
Wow! Wow! It's so funny the way things just clicked and happened in place.
To you.
Yeah, it really. My students all say, you know, Miss Vicki, that's not fair. You were Cinderella. And I do get that, but I did have many opportunities open to me, and I do believe God just laid out that path, and I was brave enough and trusting enough and had faith enough to follow it. I mean, it took a lot of sacrifice and a lot of giving up what I thought I wanted for that dream, but I've never regretted it for a second, and don't think that there wasn't a lot of hard work gone in there with all that. I worked really hard, but what a payoff. I've had the most incredible life beyond what I could have dreamt for myself.
Right. So when that door of opportunity opens, push it on open and run through it.
Yes. I always say go confidently, you know, through that door. Bring the life you've imagined, as Thoreau said, one of my favorite quotes. So,
Beautiful. Now, do we have more pictures? Because there are two pictures that I need the story to these pictures.
Yeah, sure. Well, we've got a lot of pictures. My friend, I take more photos than a professional photographer. And this was back in the day before I even had a phone, a cell phone.
Right.
If I'd had a cell phone in the beginning, we'd have thousands.
Oh my goodness.
What have you got there, Veronica, coming up next?
This one.
All right.
Beautiful.
So that's the Metropolitan Opera. After I won the auditions, 1985, they sort of guided me and aided me in figuring out who to have as my manager, what roles to start singing, etc. They followed my reviews, and then I got the phone call in 1990 to come and cover at the Met, cover the role of Prince Orlovsky in Die Fledermaus. And here again, my Cinderella story. I'm in the basement of that beautiful building rehearsing for Fledermaus. Someone gets ill. They call me up to the stage level and ask me if I can learn a role in a couple of weeks. And I said, you bet I can. And I learned my debut role and made my debut. That's what this photo is. In April of 1991 in the role of Laura in Louisa Miller by Verdi. And that's when all the Tar Heels loaded up the buses and the planes and came to support me. What beautiful memories I have from that experience.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
So that's the first one.
Yeah, the first her too, I have to say.
First of many. First of many. Yes. Yes. And let's hurry up and get to the Tony Bennett picture.
Oh, I don't know where that's coming along. I'm not sure what I sent these to Veronica and kind of
I saw that last evening when I was going through this, and I was like, oh, he is definitely one of my favorite entertainers.
And what a nice man he was. And to be honest, that picture is actually my first trip to the Grammys. And this particular year, I was nominated for my first Grammy, but we did not win that year. Okay. And that's the year that I met Tony Bennett. I knew who all these guys were. A lot of the other singers there did not. They didn't recognize Tony or Andy Williams or even Kenny G. And I was running around getting all these photos with the old gang because I knew my mom and my aunts and all my relatives were just going to flip when they saw this. He could not have been nicer. He wanted to talk to me about how do you sing without a microphone. That's what we discussed.
Oh, okay.
He was lovely.
Right.
Yes, yes.
So while we're on the topic, we have several photos here with you, with several other people that are quite famous.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, these are sort of the walk of fame. But listen, y'all, I'm leaning down. I'm in a plie right here. That's how little she is.
Oh.
I'm 5'10", but I had to really, crouch down to get in the picture, and she's giggling because I look like a gigantic person to her. I'm sure she's used to it, but she was adorable. I met her at an opera party in New York.
Oh.
Oh, now you're talking, okay? For me, Debbie, this is my heartthrob.
Oh, okay.
That is Donny Osmond, and honey, from the time I got my first allowance, actually, my best friend Shay and I were obsessed with the Osmonds, and we would run down to Thomasville to the record store and spend all of our allowance on Donny and the Osmonds albums.
Oh.
We would rush to our weekend mountain cabin and play those songs until the record player wore out.
Oh.
So my dream was to meet Donny. And it happened about 4 years ago. And again, we had the most amazing conversation, and come to find out, he has a lot of Thomasville furniture. So we talked about everything from the big chair to singing without a mic to vocal health to career longevity, since we're both still doing what we love.
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, boy.
We have another one here with you with Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynch, that's at LA Opera, and Jane came to the opera, and she's a huge opera fan. She's so funny. And she literally waited around backstage. Now, granted, my leading lady that night was one of the world's most famous sopranos, Renee Fleming. And I'm sure Jane was there to see Renee and not me. However, she waited around backstage, and she could not have been more lovely about posing and talking to all of us, talking to us about our acting. She was just so complimentary and a delight to meet.
Yeah. And here we have
This is my second one. Yes.
The most, in my opinion, the most beautiful voice I ever heard live, for sure. And I have quite a bit of history with Pavarotti. He had until he passed, he had a major competition for young singers. And I was the winner of the Pavarotti competition back in the late 80s in Philadelphia. And then they offer you a role to sing with Pavarotti after that. So I had several experiences at the Metropolitan Opera as well, where Pavarotti and I were in the same cast. And then that particular photo, though, another home story, is North Carolina Opera in Raleigh. And Robert Galbraith brought Pavarotti there for a big fundraising gala for the opera company. And I had sung with that company multiple times. So the Galbraiths offered me the chance to come to the party and to sing for Pavarotti. And of course, I reminded him, Luciano, I'm Victoria Livengood, and we did this, and this together. But that is me singing the Samson and Delilah Seductress aria to Pavarotti. And his girlfriend didn't look too happy, but he looked like he was enjoying himself a lot.
And that's what counts.
That's what counts. He looks like he's happy.
He does.
He's happy.
He does.
Oh, Doris Roberts from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh, yes.
Well, she was, again, these people are just so lovely, God rest. And this is at the Kennedy Center. I had come to a performance of Masterclass. I was singing at the opera, and she was there for Masterclass, and we met in the lobby and just had a lovely chat and took a photo. Wow. I love it when, paths cross. Of course, Regis Philbin.
Oh, Regis.
And this was in New York, obviously. Regis often frequented the Starbucks between where they filmed the Good Morning Show and where the Met Lincoln Center is. So I would often see him in line getting coffee.
Yeah.
Funny.
So you seem like such a very busy person, and you got the career, and then you also have family.
Oh, big time. That's the most important thing.
So how do you juggle all this? How do you balance the two?
I'll be honest. I don't know that I was as good at that as I am later in life. When I first started, I think I was way too focused probably on the career. I always thought I wanted my own children. I sacrificed that because Carmen and her corsets, I didn't see how that would work. And I decided not to have my own children. So I was traveling the world mid-90s. Now, this is where my husband and my high school sweetheart come into play. Again, crazy story, but you can't make this stuff up, Debbie. I mean, you just can't. This is real.
Okay.
When I was a young girl, about 11 years old, with braces on my teeth, my father-in-law, Joe Hester, came to First Baptist Church, Thomasville, to kind of, I don't know, preach and be voted upon to be our pastor. And he had 3 sons, and the eldest of those was Scott Hester, my husband. And Scott was 3 years older than I was. He'll say 2.5, but it's 3. Okay. And he was 3 years older. And I was like almost fainting and leaning over to my mom, can I vote? And she said, yes, you've been baptized. You can vote. So I voted, bring these people to this church. And it was also I could be around Scott. My heart skipped beats, but he didn't notice me. So about 2 years of going to the church together and him ignoring me, I get the braces off the teeth and fill out a little bit in all the right places. And we're in the choir, and he's on the back row because he can't sing. And I'm on the front row because I can. And I look back and go, and he comes down and says, do you need a ride home? And so I called Daddy again. I'm always calling Daddy. And I said, Daddy, Scott Hester wants to bring me home from church in his Jeep. And Daddy said, Vicki Ann, the preacher's kids are the worst. That's not going to happen. I cried. I begged. Daddy finally said, yes, you've got 13 minutes. And if you're not here, I'm coming with the gun. We made it home, and Daddy let me date Scott to church functions, school dances, only chaperone things, but we dated when I was like 13 to 16. Scott graduated and went to college and never wrote me a postcard. Everybody write in about that. That's terrible.
Yes.
Terrible.
Oh my goodness. All that time?
All that time. And so 18 years later, he sees my picture in the newspaper in Greensboro and sees me doing a concert. He brings himself over there to a sold-out concert and gets a ticket, walks down to the front row, sits with my family, and I come out to sing. And I'm thinking to myself, and just quickly, I'm thinking, oh, Mom looks so pretty tonight. And there's my nephew Ben at his first concert. And oh my gosh, that's Scott Hester. He's lost his hair. And then I start to sing. He comes backstage, girls, and he's got 4 dozen roses. Pink, yellow, white, and red, and says, I forgot which color was your favorite. Would you like to go for coffee?
Oh.
He's an attorney, and so he knows how to negotiate. I made that man date me all over the world. He came to Chile. He came to Canada. He came to Germany. He dated me all over the globe. And this Christmas, we'll be married 25 years.
Oh, that is a fabulous story.
He had a Nicholas Sparks book ready to be written.
Yes, absolutely. That's what he gets for not writing you when he was away at school.
That's right. But the point is, he already had 3 children, 3 fantastic sons. Now those sons are married. 2 of those sons have babies. So that has given me the opportunity to be a stepmom, and my name with the grands is Glammy.
Glammy.
So now I feel like God blessed me with all of that, you know.
Yes.
When I didn't even think that was part of my future.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. We have a photo.
Look how little they were. My goodness, that little tiny one now is expecting his second child.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's my 3 stepsons, and that's us in 1995 when we got married.
Okay, beautiful. Very nice.
We are all over the globe. That center photo is probably our favorite city in the world, Positano, Italy. And we go there as often as possible. This is when he was dating me in Canada and following me around. had to make sure that he could handle this insane roller coaster I live on.
Oh, I bet so.
He not only handles it, he really is better at it than I am.
Yeah. So what was your schedule like? I mean, in those early years compared to later on?
Oh, it's very different. The early years when he and I were dating, and then the first even 10, 15 years of our marriage, I was on the road 9 to 10 months a year and only home 2 to 3 months. Wow. And it wasn't like you were home at one time. I would fly in, unpack, repack. You never had time to nest or to feel like, you were a homemaker. And I would always try to play wife, to play June Cleaver, when I would fly in. But I was studying the next thing. I never was without a score in my hand, memorizing 300 pages a month of foreign language music. Trying to see the kids, trying to see my family. So it was really crazy back then. He never complained once. If the phone rang and they said, "Can you be in Monte Carlo tomorrow?" Scott would help me and he would pack his bag and off we'd go.
Wow. Well, I guess that's how you knew he was the right one.
He was a diva tender. That's what everybody calls him, a diva tender.
Yes.
It's a full-time job, trust me.
Yes.
Wow.
That's when you know you made the right choice.
That's right.
So before we get into talking about your role as Carmen, we do have another question here from Timothy Kelly.
Yeah.
Give a bass baritone one word of advice?
No such thing as one word. I can't
say it in one word, but if you're a bass baritone, you better be very good at the villainous scowl. You got to have that down. Bass baritones, all those roles. Villains, devils, right? One word of advice. That's a tough one. Learn to sing well in your passaggio. He'll know what that means. His teacher is one of my students. And it's just, I love that because it's full circle, because in a way they're my grand students. When my students, these beautiful students, that's just such a pay it forward thing for me. I love it. One day, Timothy.
So I'm guessing that Amber Jones was your student.
Amber
James.
Yeah, she's been my student for several years, and one of my friends now. When a student's been with you for several years and now she's a teacher herself, and we have so much in common, it kind of branches into a real friendship after you've been together that long.
Okay.
Got it, villain.
Got it.
That's great.
All right. So talk to us about the role of your lifetime, which would be Carmen, I imagine.
It would be Carmen. Yes, I'm telling you that even our cars, my car is red and she's called Carmen or Carmencita, and Scott's car is called Don Jose, who is her pathetic lover in the opera. So our cars are even named that. I say that, Carmen built our house, which she did. She was very good to us. I sang that role 250 performances, which is by miles the most performances I did of any role. Yeah. And, most singers that succeed say that it's best if you can find a signature role. For Renee Fleming, it was Countess, and every singer that succeeds seems to have a role that seems to fit them like a glove. And that role opens the doors for them. And for me, fortunately, it was Carmen, and she's one of the most multifaceted, fabulous characters, and I never got bored one moment with her, because every time I did it 250 times, there was something new to learn about her, about the character, about the music Bizet wrote.
Yeah,
I could not have been more blessed to have a role like that I could do all over the world and feel so comfortable in her skin. It was like push a button and there she is.
Right.
I miss her very much. I retired the role about 10 years ago in Boston. I thought, Boston, where I won the Met auditions, let's leave Carmen here. And again, the house was filled with all my friends and my teachers and my mentors from Boston. I wept. It felt amazing and full circle. But there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss her. And now when I coach a student in that repertoire, I'm in heaven, remembering every little nuance that I can share with these young mezzos that are learning the role.
Wow. I imagine you give some great advice to these students.
Yes.
I hope I do. I'm certainly passionate about it. I love them. Each one of them is special to me. And I have 100 in my studio. And currently during the pandemic, I'm seeing about 60 students actively. Wow. So it is a full-time job.
Wow. Now, do you think after the pandemic that you will take on new students?
Well, to be honest with you, Debbie, I said I wouldn't do this, but during the pandemic, I have taken on a handful of new students. And I said I wouldn't do it because I couldn't imagine working with a new student and not being able to be in the same room and to have my hands on them as I'm working with their breath and their support and their body and their posture. I couldn't imagine it. However, I had a few people beg, and one of my students highly recommended another girl who works for Opera Carolina, and I just couldn't say no. And now we're having, I think we're having about our 5th or 6th lesson coming up. We have managed it beautifully without being together, doing it. And we're both very excited to be working together. So I am actually, when I can fit it in, singing with people.
Wow.
Nice.
Why, Debbie, you want a lesson?
I might.
I'm warning you.
As I said at the beginning.
I ain't cheap.
Now, if we do the lesson, we have to do it live on here, of course.
After I get
I don't know if you're up for that. I live right here in Concord. When this pandemic's over, my Concord studio will reopen as soon as we feel it's safe.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to get people back in here. You know, we've all had to make such adjustments as singers, especially.
Sure.
Very well. I'm very pleased.
Yes.
Aww. Who is that? Probably Moran. I'm looking at MR.
Yeah, MR.
What a lovely, I think that might be Moran Robarts, maybe.
Okay.
New York, New Jersey. I'm just seeing MR, no name.
Yeah, you won't find more passionate.
I'm thinking through 100 students going, who's MR?
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Oh,
wonderful.
Nice.
Now, the role of Carmen, we have a few photos of you in this role.
Yes, people will be shocked. Now, prepare yourselves. This is not for the Southern Baptist faint of heart. Oh, yeah. No, okay. That is her going into preparation. Yes. I love my time in the makeup chair. And this makeup, of course, was done by a makeup artist. And then I finished the lips. But this is pre-wig, post-makeup, post-eyelashes, ready to go. Oh, my. That was her photo shoot. Yeah, check it out. And boy, you know what else I loved about her? I loved that I could do that role barefooted. Let me tell you, I did her barefoot most of the whole career. And I loved that feeling of being grounded on a stage. And I felt so comfortable in my own skin with that. Yeah, this is a photo shoot for a magazine in Portland, Oregon, if I remember correctly. I usually go by the rose color, the props. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That looks like Portland. Oh, dear. That is Kansas City. And I tell you another full circle story in my life. When I won the Met auditions, one of the judges was Reese Stevens. She was a famous Carmen way before my time. And you guys may know Reese Stevens from Hollywood movies like The Chocolate Soldier or like Going My Way with Bing Crosby when he's the priest or something and they go to the opera and she sings. That's Reese Stevens. Gorgeous woman. She was one of my judges in 1985 and gave me her tricks and her bits. This bit, she said, when he ties you up, darling, to go to the prison. She said, bend over in the opening of the aria, bite your skirt with your teeth and pull it up, and then you've got him. And so that was the end of that. I used that bit as long as I could still bend over and bite my skirt. That got painful. I said, okay, time to retire this woman. Oh, the tambourine. These are, look at how happy I am. I mean, that's my happy place. That's the second act. I can't quite tell what that costume is or where I am. I'm looking at faces in the chorus. That could be here in Charlotte. I did it here twice. But yeah, this is on the table, just filled with euphoric joy. And she has such a zest for life. And to be honest, I didn't have to act that hard because I'm also generally a really full of energy, full of happiness person. Oh gosh, favorite moment of my entire career. That's in front of the gold curtain at the Metropolitan Opera, 2002, October. And that's me taking my final bow. After he's killed me, I came back to life to take my bow. And that's when those Tar Heels are screaming and throwing roses at my feet. And my dad was down there pitching me a bouquet. And the whole thing is just, you know, heaven on a bun.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So let's listen right quick. We have a little audio track that I would love for everyone to listen to. The aria from Carmen and Aria.
Some might recognize it from Gilligan's Island.
It's such a memorable piece.
Thank you. Yes, it is a memorable piece. It's so funny. I'll tell you the truth. That may be the first time I've ever listened to that. I'm one of those singers that thinks I'm better than I am in my own head, so I never listen to the recordings. I'm not lying. I've never listened to the recording that we won the Grammy for. I really have not. I just like it better in my head.
Right.
Not a singer that way.
So can you tell us a little bit about your exhibit that's in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, that's a good question, Debbie. I have not had the time to come over there and see it recently. I did. I was over there when I was going to induct my dear friend, Tony Griffey, into the Hall of Fame. I was so excited not only to have my good friend, but to have another opera singer in there.
Yes.
So when I came to the induction ceremony, Tony and I went through the whole museum. But for sure, the main thing you've got showing there is the beaded top and skirt, and that is the opera cape with red silk lining. And I wore that for my opening night of Carmen at the Metropolitan Opera. And of course, we had a soiree party, you know, fancy schmancy for about 300 people across the street from Lincoln Center. It was pouring rain that night. And actually, my young nephew, Ben, carried the umbrella and tried to keep me from getting soaked. But that cape really took a beating that night, and we dried it out and we sent it to you guys so you could have it on display. So yeah, that's my opening night outfit for the party after Carnival.
Yeah,
Kind of that silver rose there in the shadow box appears to be the silver rose that I carried when I won the Metropolitan Opera auditions and we did the winners concert. They had me sing the Rosenkavalier Trio, which means the rose carrier. And I carried that silver rose on stage the first time my feet hit the Metropolitan stage. So that's what that is. And beside there, good grief, those are my character shoes that I wore for Carmen in the second act and fourth act, all those years. My goodness. I haven't seen those in a long time. Trying to see what else you've got there. Oh, there to the right, to Veronica's left. Well, there in the middle, you've got some of my CDs. It looks like the CD jacket, recording jackets. That's cool. I kind of need to make one of those for my house. That's cool. You've got a lot of my Christmas CD and Desire Under the Elms, Opening Night, Simple Gifts. Oh, the AIDS Requiem that I sang. They're on the bottom. The Desire Under the Elms was nominated for a Grammy. And then to the right, it looks like you've done a beautiful job with a Carmen collage and a fan that I carried and a lot of my favorite photos. You guys do such a great job with these collages. I need you to come help me out over here in my studio. And I need to give you some updated stuff. I've got so much. I need to send something from the Grammy over that way.
Awesome.
Oh, that would be
That
great.
was 3 years ago. I did, believe it or not, after 35 years in the business and 105 operatic roles, I finally won a Grammy 3 years ago.
You sure did.
At the ripe old age of 58, because I'm 61. So crazy.
Yeah.
And dad, it was right before my dad passed. So the best thing was getting to bring that home and give that to my dad. You know, that was an amazing thing. And my mom has it hanging in her foyer.
Oh, now you were nominated for a Grammy before that.
Yes, that's for that Desire Under the Elms, and that's the picture with Tony Bennett.
Yeah,
that is Scott and I. They flew us out, and we went to the Grammy ceremony, and it was so funny because I don't know a lot about other kinds of music. Not a lot. I'll tell you what I do love is country music, so I know a lot about that, but I don't know a lot about rock. I know a little bit about pop. So we're walking around, and I'm seeing these people that I know are famous, and I call my nephew and I say, I'm walking along this group of singers that won a Grammy tonight. And I said, their name is something like a food, like you eat it at Thanksgiving. What? And I said, it can't be collard greens. And he goes, oh my gosh, Aunt Vic, it's the black-eyed peas. Yeah. That's Fergie, So I'm telling you, that's how crazy it all was. We were seated at the party with Alicia Keys, and I just kept staring at her gorgeous skin. I was fangirling all night long. It was fun.
I bet so.
Oh,
now I know my niece and nephew just wrote in and said that the littles are watching Aunt Vicki tonight. Now I tell you, I've got the cutest great niece and great nephew on the planet Earth. So I'm going to say a big shout out to Ellie Jean and Daniel Winston. Aunt Vic loves you.
Oh, that is so sweet.
They're cuddled up on the couch. Oh, Claire, loving this, Miss Vicki. You are all the things. That's cute, and that's such a cute play on words because I tell them all the time, they'll get 5 of the things I tell them to do right, but they'll forget one. And so our studio joke is it's all the things. You can't leave one thing out. And so that's what she's talking about. This is my cousin, Lisa. Wonderful. So proud of you. Thanks, cuz. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Conrad. Oh, I'll tell you right now, this is the truth. His daughter, Emily, beautiful young woman. She was my very first voice student when Scott and I lived in Mint Hill, North Carolina. We are so grateful. She built into all of our lives. We are so proud of you and love you. Bravo, Victoria. Thank you, David and Catherine and Emily Conrad.
Okay.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it.
And Ken is actually one of your fellow Hall of Fame and
you guys were inducted the same year, I believe, 1999.
Really, because I told Veronica last week when we tried out this format, we did our induction back then. It was on an outdoor stage for everybody's day at Thomasville.
Yes.
Now I'm told y'all do the limos and the red carpet
and the strobe lights, and it's a major event for us now.
I'm gonna have to come back.
We're gonna let you know, and we would love to see you come.
Yes, well, I've been back a couple of times. The most recent time you inducted Ben Folds, and I'm a big fan. And so my parents and Scott and I got to come for that induction. That might have been the same year as Tony. So we loved being there for the celebration. And you had already kicked it up one notch, but now it sounds like you've gone even farther.
And we're still climbing.
Good. I love it. I love to hear that. And every time students fly in for a boot camp, we call it Miss Vicky's boot camp. Many of them fly in and they don't know what to do. So I have a flyer on the piano that I hand out with good restaurants. And I always put on there, spend an afternoon in Kannapolis and drop by the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, you bet.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
That's great.
That's wonderful. I appreciate you for doing that.
Well, they all the ones that have gone just love it. And I tell them to have lunch downtown. Just to love to spend an afternoon.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now you were talking about your father, and I think you said that the Samson and Delilah track that we have was one of his favorites.
Oh yes, for sure. And he loved it. He begged for it every concert I did. Recently I did one for Mills Home Baptist Church Children's Orphanage, and I did a fundraiser called Hope and Style. And Daddy requested that I sing Mon cœur s'ouvre ta voix from Samson et Dalila by Sanson, his favorite, and one of my husband's favorites as well.
Great.
Wow. So we actually have that little track. I'd love to play that before maybe we'll play this one. Okay. And then we will close out with one more from you.
Okay.
But the one of Samson and Delilah, what language is this in?
This is in French. And so to be honest, it's a very good question. French was sort of my second language, my only language without an accent, although the French people might beg to differ. But all of my roles in the beginning of my career and really through the predominant bulk of my career were in French. I was sort of known as a French mezzo. I was known for Carmen, for Delilah, at the Met for Giulietta in Les Contes d'Hoffmann, which I sang many, many times. So I sang a lot of French repertoire, and honestly, I think that's part of the reason I'm still performing at age 61, because I didn't go too heavy into the repertoire too soon. I was patient, and I did the lighter French repertoire before I did the heavier Italian repertoire, and then even the German and the Wagner repertoire. Yes. So it was a great thing to the career.
Oh, wow. Wow. So neat. So let's take a listen to this one right quick.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You know, when my mom and dad came to the Met for the finals, for the winners concert with orchestra, and we did that Rosenkavalier trio, they had no idea what I was saying in German at that point, or in French now at this point.
Mhm.
But they both loved music, all kinds of music. And when my dad and mom heard that melody of Mon Coeur and the orchestration and the strings and all of it, it gave them chills. It made them emotional. They didn't know why, but they felt what it was about. And that's what music's all about. That's what we need right now, big time in the world, is for people to be
very true,
uplifted and supported and encouraged by the beauty of music. So we artists really hope that we can get back to doing what we love and, you know, bring art, all forms of art and music back to the world and back to normalcy, if possible.
Yes.
I pray for that.
Indeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Indeed. Yes.
Well, we have went a little bit over the hour and we still have so many questions coming in.
Oh dear, I warned you that I have a gift for gab. I mean, that's the warning.
But we love it. We love it. No, we like to just sit back and let our guests just
I can ramble on, trust me. Just push the button and get it.
Well, this has been so nice. If you want to take a few more questions, we can, or we can go ahead and
take a few more. Sure thing. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
Scott's got dinner waiting, I'm sure.
Oh,
well, Claudio is married to one of my beautiful mezzo-soprano students, and Claudio is also one of our studio pianists. Oh. So he drives up from South Carolina and will spend a day, sometimes a week, with us in the studio playing for the students. Would you talk a little bit about how you started teaching? Oh my goodness, that is a good question. You know, I don't even remember when Emily Conrad first came to me in Mint Hill. It had to be over 10 years ago. And I was way too busy on the road and performing to be a teacher. It wasn't really even on my radar, to be quite honest. And Emily was my first student. And, you know, you question whether or not you have any ability to convey what you know how to do. I mean, as a teacher, you know, you might be able to do it, but you may not be able to explain it very well. And to my dismay and to my absolute delight, I was able to help her and to explain to her and to show her and to assist her into finding her authentic voice. And it was a beautiful voice. So then I got to New York for one of my gigs at the Met, and a young soprano named Monica Nemi came to me second. She was my second student. And I listened to her and analyzed what I thought was going on with her singing. And I also advised what repertoire I heard her voice going into. One thing led to another, and come to find out, I have good ears. So when I hear a singer, I'm pretty good at figuring out what their voice ideally is maybe meant to sing and to help guide them into the right repertoire and the right lane. And as I've done it, you know, with anything, experience is the best teacher. As I've taught more and more people, I love it more and more. I'm more and more passionate about it. I'm learning more. I'm more experienced. And, you know, I also make up crazy stuff. The students will tell you it's a wild ride in here. I'm crazy. I'm full on energy, and it's intense, and we laugh, and I try to relax them, and we try to have fun, but we also get a lot of work done. It's one of the great joys of my life, and I'm so glad that I took that first student, Claudio, so that led me to meet you and Madeline.
Wow.
There's my mama. Mama is watching with tears of happiness.
With tears of happiness.
Love you, Mama. There's my brother. Proud of you, sis. I love you, baby bro. My niece wrote me a text while y'all were playing that clip and said the kids were I made their night by blowing them a kiss. Isn't that what life's all about?
It certainly is.
It really is. They're coming over for Thanksgiving, and we're doing an outdoor deck. We're doing a deck dinner. Scott and I and Mom are making the foods, and we'll have it outside with a heater and a fire pit. and bundle up in blankets and be safe.
Yes.
There's only going to be 7 of us. We're keeping the number small.
Sure. And that's enough. That's within that number. Sure.
Absolutely. And the rest of the family went to Tennessee to my brothers and sister-in-law. So we divided so that we could all celebrate, safely.
Right.
Very nice.
Right.
Very nice.
Well, I wish we could have had a lot more time because there's so many more things that I'm sure we can talk about. Your career and your lifetime has been so interesting.
Very much so.
It's been quite a ride.
Unfortunately, I feel like, we need to bring the show to a close. But before we do, give some words of advice to some of the students out there that are wanting to make it just like you wanted to make it. And just encourage them a little bit.
Well, my students, I'm having to encourage every day, every lesson, every time I get a new bell rings and a new student comes on this Zoom. I'm having to be a bit of a therapist and a lot of a cheerleader. And many of them are down and many of them are asking the question, which I tell them I'm asking it too. We're all asking the question, when is this going to end? Yeah. And when are we going to be able to get back to doing what we love safely? And, as performers, I don't think I've ever gone 8 months without a performance since I was in, grammar school. There was something going on all the time. This is so unusual. It's hard not to get discouraged. It's hard not to feel depressed because we don't know what the future holds. But I tell my students, and I tell the kids and the grandkids and everybody, you can choose. You can choose to find the joy in it. And if your goal is not to get back out there performing, if your goal is to become the best that you can be, this is what I tell my students. Why don't we use this pandemic to find your authentic voice, to find your aria package, to perfect and hone your skill set, and to become the best singer, actor, performer you can be. When this ends, I want my students to be ready to go out there and to make their dreams come true, whatever those dreams are. If it's singing in solos at church, if it's going to Broadway, if it's singing in a big opera house in Italy, whatever your dreams are, the best thing you can do right now is hone your craft and remain positive and choose joy, which is what singing gives us. If you're a performer, singing gives you joy, even if it's for your grandma and her dog. So keep singing, keep the music going.
I agree.
Wonderful words.
Great words of advice.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jean Overcash. Great show once again. Thank you.
Well, look at Jean. Thank you, Jean.
Well, thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us. And I can't wait until we can do something again.
You guys have made it so easy. I have to say, I've done a ton of these things and, TV shows, whatever. The interviews are always a little stressful. You ladies are so genuine and comfortable. And it's just, I feel like we've just been having a cup of tea.
Exactly.
Just a little chat.
We like to do. Keep it very easy.
I appreciate it.
Keep it flowing.
Great.
Very nice.
Wonderful.
It was wonderful meeting you.
And you too, Debbie. And I wish you guys a very, very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You too.
We hope you and all of your family, when you all get together for your deck dinner, you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. And to everybody watching, stay safe and have a good time during your Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family, those that you can be around. Enjoy the time that you have with them.
Yes.
And remember that we will be back here next Tuesday doing another Listening to Legends.
December 1st.
Yes, December 1st. Our next guest is going to be a 2020 inductee. So, Victoria, what we have done is we've incorporated the 2020 inductees into this as a big part. Because we were not able to have our 2020 inductions, we wanted everybody to get to know them a little better, as well as our older inductees. So we're incorporating everybody. And next week, we're talking to Jermaine Dupree.
Pretty.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yes. So everybody, make sure you join in to next Tuesday at 7 p.m. on our Facebook and YouTube pages.
December 1st.
Yes. All right. So Victoria, we are thankful for you.
Thank you.
We are going to close out this episode with a piece that you did called the Evening Prayer.
Yeah, this is from Hansel and Gretel, believe it or not, when they're in the woods and they're frightened. This is the prayer that they sing. It's just a beautiful thing, I think, for Thanksgiving.
Wonderful.
Thank you all.
You're very welcome.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and have a wonderful night.
Okay.
To guide my steps to